This is Wellness Unlocked, your space for smart, honest conversations about what it really takes to feel your best.
We're your hosts, Sally and Maha, founders of a global wellness brand. And every single episode, we're going to bring you forward thinkers and innovators from the wellness world, those who can help you unpack best in wellness tips.
If you're ready to upgrade your life, then you're in the right place. I first started following you and your work, I think a few years ago. A friend of mine said to me, "Oh, do you follow Sarah Jane Cairo?" And I was like, "No." And then I went onto your page and I was like, "What the fuck? This is right up my alley."
Well, it could go either way, so I'm glad it went that way.
Yeah. I'd never seen, and I don't think I have since, have seen anybody, aside from people who you have trained and taught and all of that, do what you do. And it's absolutely fascinating.
So maybe for context, explain. So what you do is called Spinal Energetics, but maybe tell us a little bit about how you got here. How did you end up in this?
It wasn't like one epiphany moment. Like a lot of people always ask me if I downloaded it. I don't really know what that means, but no, I didn't quite download it as such. Not in one particular moment or one particular setting, but it was an accumulation of many things that when you look back, you can see how each breadcrumb led you to where you were meant to be. In hindsight, I can see that, but during the time, I wouldn't say it was as peaceful or as trusting as, oh, this is just leading me to the next place. But, you know, in terms of formal education, I came from a psychology background, so I was always interested in why people are the way that they are and emotions, and just really wanted to understand the human nature more, and probably myself more, like most people who study that particular subject. And then I realized I didn't want to be a psychologist because that felt quite diagnostic and not contextual. It didn't feel like they really understood what happened in your life, who was around you, what kind of situations occurred. It felt more like a checklist. And so that didn't quite fit with my own experience and my own experiences in life that had been quite challenging, I thought, leading up until then. But little did I know that there was some more interesting, challenging times ahead. And then I met a chiropractor at the time and started working for her and just fell in love with chiropractic initially. And the reason being, I'd never seen something work in a way where people came in and looked so much differently almost instantly after. So there was something I knew that was happening outside of just what, you know, most people think chiro is, like just cracking a back and relieving pain. But there was something much bigger that was happening. And that made me question a lot more about the nervous system and what is it that we're actually working with and how come it's affecting the emotions so much. And then I did Reiki, and then, you know, I spent a lot of time in India, in Asia, Southeast Asia, and just really wanted to learn more about traditional and healing systems that have been around a lot longer than what our Western theories have been. So accumulation in terms of that professionally, but personally, you know, a lot of grief and a lot of hardship in my own life. I don't think you'd meet someone in this field who hasn't experienced that. And then people who value what I do tend to be people who have experienced hardships in their life too. I find it's the people that maybe are a little ignorant to life's curvatures that might look at it and think, I guess, superficially that that's not possible, or superficially that that's weird, or closed off to something that I guess really connects the body and the soul and the life experiences that we have.
So how did you end up in coming into this particular modality that's just so unique to you and what you do?
It's an essence of me.
Yeah. Like how did you, I say come up with it, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like how did it sort of?
It came about really after I divorced my ex-husband and we couldn't have children. So we had 5 miscarriages during our time together, and you know, looked down the surrogacy route and that didn't work out either. And my mum had been diagnosed at that point in time with a really rare brain disease very quickly called ADEM. So she went from being healthy and happy one day to within 24 hours being in a coma.
Oh, my, sorry.
And, yeah.
So sorry.
So, but it's okay. It's a very difficult thing to talk about. It still is. But again, they were breadcrumbs. And they were things that I don't think if they had have happened, I would be sitting here with you today because I know it's corny, and I used to hate people I used to hear say this because I wasn't there at that point yet. But I used to hate when people say things happen for a reason because I still hate it, to be honest, because it still hurts every day. It's not like it disappeared one day. But this was really a product of a lot of pain and grief and essentially a birthing of something that was still me. And I was like, I just felt this urgency to bring something to the world and to ease people's pain in any way that I could because I was longing for that myself. And I think anyone in this space, even you guys, when you've experienced, there's no way you'd even be interested in experiencing this if there wasn't some kind of resonance between the pain that you felt in your life and the pain that's reflected in the work.
Yep.
And I'm starting to learn to separate myself from the work now, which is a challenge because it really does feel like a piece of myself, if I'm honest, but I'm working on that.
But how did you know that you could do this, so to speak?
Again, it was a curious mind.
Yeah.
It was a curious mind about possibility.
Yeah.
And I had come from a chiro background, which was tonal, so already light touch, working with soft places that had big impact. But then I had started working in Reiki and seeing what happens when we come off the body. I then started, seeing other, shamans or healers that had worked off the body and were creating similar kind of movements and experiences, but not so odd in their culture, not so derived from, I guess, nature in comparison to us in the West.
Or a textbook.
Yeah, you can't be taught it. It's strange, but of all my professional degrees, I would say only use about 5% of the knowledge that was actually taught to me. It was more the experience of beating your head against a wall for up to 10 years in a system, because, again, it's another system and it's a very closed-minded system. You had to really want to go where you were going to survive that system as well. Yeah, it's very straight down the line.
Very.
Black, white, right, wrong.
And so for people who see, and I know it's just sort of what Sally means about like doing what you do, and you, I think, mean like the actual physicality of the exercises. So for anybody who hasn't seen it, well, it can look like somebody is lying there. There's low or no touch, as you say. They can be, their body is moving essentially what appears to be involuntarily.
And it's big movements. It
can be.
It can be. You know, so when you're watching it for the first time, I remember when Maha first showed me one of your videos, I was like, what's happening?
Looks like an exorcism.
Yeah. Again, I was like, great. Amazing.
Get the devil out.
Get that out,
Yeah, it does look like that. But again, I think because we've only been shown things like that in our culture where it's been associated with something satanic, something dark, an entity, the devil, exorcisms, whatever. We haven't seen it associated with an actual normal body processing system. It's really processing moments in time that weren't processed at the time. So you'll see people like moving their legs like this and running like they're running. That's essentially a flight response that's coming through the body and reprogramming through the system. You might see people clench their fists. That could be a fight response coming through. So what you're seeing visually is, in essence, almost like a shake it off response that you would see animals do in the wild in a moment that's given space and unconditional love, so to speak, or non-judgment, where people feel free to no longer have to hold that in.
Yes.
And that probably has some part to do with it as well. You give people a space, an opportunity to be who they really are in the world when there's very limited options to do that. Most people haven't been loved unconditionally in their life, even by their parents, by their loved ones. Unconditional love is rare. So that's why a lot of people hold things in, like guilt and shame, because they're scared that they're not lovable anymore if they were to share them. So think about all those things that you're trying to hide and all the energy it takes to hide those parts of yourself all the time. And imagine that what that's doing to the system. It's depleting the system. It's not re-energizing the system. So in essence, the work is about bringing you closer to who you really are.
Is it about shedding the layers? Because as you say that about things like guilt, shame, feeling like you're unlovable, having that conditional love, I immediately think of like as a child, and then that growing as you're an adult, as you learn in a way to condition yourself more to be more acceptable for society. And so
it's shedding conditions.
It's shedding that, right? Yeah.
It's shedding conditions, like what's really you and what isn't you. And it's shedding perceptions that you've told yourself to keep you safe. So the body's very intelligent and the mind's very intelligent, and it will do anything to keep you safe. That's its priority.
Starts from when you're a baby, really.
Really
Yeah,
young.
it's true.
I don't even know when, but I can't remember a time where I didn't do it.
It's innate,
It's
probably.
innate, yeah. And it's a survival strategy.
Yeah.
But it's also unconscious. So that's the other thing. When doing talk therapy or counselling and things like that, you're essentially working with one part of the brain that's very small. The conscious reality is a very small contributor to the experiences that we have within our body. The majority is unconscious. So we need to work with the unconscious because rationally we can discuss things and we can understand them and we can, contemplate them and possibly change our perception. But it's a lot harder to change your perception that way than changing the perception because you experience a different perception. You feel it, you embody it. Then that changes your mind instead.
And can you have a change like that that's long-lasting from one session?
This is a question we get asked a lot. And yes, I think you can.
Yeah.
But again, you said layers.
Yeah.
So there might be something that we work with. And again, it's unexpected. I can't anticipate what I'm going to find in you or what layer the body chooses to prioritize to work with at that point in time. But I do think, and you guys have experienced a little bit of the work, it does definitely change something. And when I say change, energy has to be transformed. It doesn't stay the same. And so even us as people, we don't stay the same. So we have to be transformed anyway. So what's the point of getting this work if we change naturally? Well, the point of it is it changes the time perception of what it usually takes, that process. It's altered.
So instead of maybe like you've held on to something for 20 years or whatever, that you might be able to shift it in a shorter space of time.
I really do believe so. And you guys probably can attest to this. When you had the experience, you can't tell how long you were lying there for.
No.
So you couldn't tell if it was 10 minutes, 2 hours. It's almost like time becomes this strange thing where it feels like forever but feels like nothing.
You don't know
all
how,
at the same
I don't
time.
know
You don't
how
know how long.
And I also couldn't tell you really what I was doing or what happened,
That's really important to me.
Yeah.
So for me, one of the reasons I wanted to work this way was because I found it difficult talking about all the things that had happened to me all the time. And I didn't necessarily feel like it was altering. And I felt like my body changed every time I spoke about it again. Like even before when we were just talking, I felt my body, like the grief in my body, it remembers it. And that's the beauty. But it still hurts. Like I think I'd be a liar if I said it didn't hurt still. But the way that I've come from the hurt then to the way I am now is a very large change. And I don't think I would even be sitting here if it wasn't for work like this, because it brings you back to what's really important. It brings you back to clearing out the noise, clearing out things that we don't have to hold on to for the rest of our life. And that's what we do. We accumulate.
And that's probably why, or is it why people have such big reactions, like the crying and the movement and the...
Yeah, look, I think there's two things. There's one thing where I think people are given a space and an opportunity to do it. And I can usually tell the difference, though, between it being a conscious cathartic release where they just feel like screaming and they've given permission to in that space. But then there's other times where it is involuntary and unconscious. And what that talks to is it's probably a moment in time where you've wanted to scream and you couldn't. But what I love about this work is you don't have to remember that specific moment to release it.
Yes.
So in other forms of therapy, they might take you back to that time and have you think about that time. And I realized that wasn't actually beneficial to people with trauma because the body can't tell the difference between imagination or something from the past or something in the future.
Yes.
So why are we
going back
there when we don't actually have to? So what actually happens in the work, you would have felt it. The body almost is going back through a timeline and a sensation and a feeling might feel familiar, but mentally you can't attach it to a specific thing.
Correct. Yeah.
Finance are spewing with you. They actually want to speak to you about your corporate card.
Yeah, I love my corporate card.
No,
Why
you
would
cannot. You cannot use it to go to Priceline, right? And just tap and buy all the SWIISH. No, you cannot buy SWIISH. You can get SWIISH. These guys can get SWIISH at Priceline.
Me too, I can too.
Yes, you can too, but with your personal card. You cannot use your corporate card and tap everywhere you go.
Yes, I can go to 500 Priceline stores and I can tap at all of them with my credit card and my sister club card. I'm a pink diamond member.
500 Priceline stores. You can get SWIISH at any of them.
That's right. Pretty impressive.
Okay, get something for me next time.
I will.
So what can you feel? You know what your experience was like, and I know what mine was like having the work done with you, but what does it feel like for you?
It's a hard thing to kind of explain.
Yeah. Is it like heat? Is it, can you feel the energy? Like, can you feel it as you go?
I just know where it is.
Yeah.
Like, you'll hear me talking to myself while I'm working on you. I don't know if you remember that. But like, oh, there it is. All right. Crazy person.
I found it.
Oh, found it. There it is. Okay, yeah. And I'll even feel like how it's processing in your body with you. So it's quite a tangible experience for me. And that's why I'll know, like, when you're pushing or when to pull or whatever, and I'll say, yes, that's it. You found it. Stay there, or push here, or squeeze here. So it does feel quite tangible in my own body, rather than what I think people perceive is like I'm pulling your energy and making your body do things.
Yeah.
That's not really what's happening. What's happening is your body is guiding me to where to go and I'm following it. But it looks like, like I'm puppeteering
like a magic
someone.
street.
Yeah, it looks like that. But
Yeah.
is there anything related to, for example, if my, leg is moving or my arm is moving, like what? So, for example, is that connected to a particular organ or a particular, like depending on what I'm physically doing in the moment?
Yes. So, but for me, I do it a little bit more specific for the person.
Yeah.
So I might feel your leg move and then I might see your leg move and do the exact same movement, but a feeling will change in terms of what that means for you specifically.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're as simple as a full blanket approach.
Yes.
Like, sometimes I have people ask me, Sarah, my finger moved 3 times. What's that mean? And I'm like, I
Did Sally ask that?
I know.
That's the kind of thing I'd ask.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't have the answers
No.
for everything. But what I might suggest is then, what did it communicate to you? So for me, what's more important is what you experience, not what I tell you I think you experience. Because again, we're taught to place the practitioner above us. And after a session, everyone does it. They go, what did you find in me? What did you see?
Yeah, because
What did you find?
everyone likes hearing about themselves. And
Yes.
They do, but they're looking for confirmation, essentially.
No, yeah,
I was
you
just
go.
going to say, but so coming back to what you were saying about the body might prioritize something different. So I also might think I'm coming to you for a very specific situation or emotion or something that's been unresolved or challenging, but my body is actually like, sorry, babe, this thing from
has got priority.
last week or 10 years ago, or who knows, has priority over it. And so I think in a way, I felt like it's almost better to have no expectations of like, I'm coming for this thing and just to go with whatever was happening. And personally, I felt like a physical, emotional kind of release, if you like, but I couldn't pinpoint like, oh, that was about my mom, or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Why don't we maybe just quickly describe, because we did a session with you maybe about a month, a couple of months ago maybe.
Yeah, a couple of months ago.
And I think it was amazing because also we did it together. Like we were in a class with some other people, but we did it together and we had such a different experience, which I think is so good because like so speaks to your point that it's not the same for everybody, We
were next to each other.
We were next to each other, correct.
And I had quite a physical experience, which I remember some of, but and later you said to me that you looked, I was having full like body,
like I'd call it a convulsion.
Like a convulsion.
I'd call it convulsions, yeah.
And I remember a bit of that, but the thing that I think I remember the most was I was very panicked about you.
Yes.
And I was crying.
Yes.
And I was saying to Sarah, I have like, is Sally okay? Is Sally okay? And you said to me, she's fine.
Yeah.
And then I felt like I could settle. So I don't know whether something that was happening for me was about I love you so
I know,
much.
same.
But something for me was happening. I think I was really worried about you. And I mean, who knows? It could have been cancer, could have been something from childhood. Who knows?
It was a deep worry.
It was a really deep worry. And then having you say she's fine, I was like then able to kind of really.
It's almost like you were then able to settle in and really like. Then you were howling. You know,
then you went into
howling.
your own experience.
It was about me, and it wasn't
then
about. I could relax.
It was almost like you could relax and not mentally be worried about me. And then you were really then.
I was crying a lot.
Crying heaps, convulsing heaps, you know.
But I felt really good after.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Imagine having a huge amount of tension build up in not just your body muscles and fascia and tissues, but we don't really think about this, but the emotional body, there's a weight to it, the energy that comes from that. It's very dense emotions stored in my experience, because everyone, when they finish a session, will say, I feel lighter. And so what's been lifted, you know?
And I think coming back to like, I don't know how long it went for, right? And I've done heaps of energy work in all different and I love all of it, right? I'm like, you know, but I've never
give me all the things.
Give me all the things, right? But I've never done anything that has been so physical. And I've like kinesiology and Reiki and polarity therapy and all these things. And I've never done anything that's that physical or left me feeling as released.
It's very purposeful, that tangibility. And people can agree with me or disagree with me on this, but it's purposeful. For me, you know, I'm Australian, so in Australian culture, also I used to spend a lot of time in America wanting to teach this course at westernized, developed country society, right? Energy work was always seen as something that you either believed in or didn't believe in, which I'm still facing at this point in time, or it was something that you kind of weren't sure if something happened or not. Oh, I felt a bit of heat. Oh, I fell asleep. I'm not sure. You know, like something.
Or what people say, it was a placebo. It was in your head. And you wanted it to happen, so therefore you are insisting you felt something.
But are we still in that place where people like?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're getting better. But you know, placebo is across all. It's in science. You know, there's studies around medications and the placebo effect. There's still no one says I don't. Well, actually, that's not true. Majority of people don't say I don't believe in Panadol. Like I've never heard anyone say that.
Totally.
You know, but so it's not. But also, we're trying to make something esoteric a little bit more tangible for us, and we just haven't had the ability to do that yet. But when you feel that session, what happens is there's this thing in your mind that whether you believed in it or didn't believe it, all of a sudden relinquishes and goes, something's happening here. And that changes the experience a lot for people.
Does somebody need to, is it the kind of thing that you have to do often in order to, coming back to the layers and the cleansing and the body keeps score, right? Is it the kind of thing you should do a lot to maintain and keep going? Or
ideally.
But
we would want to be working on different layers and different parts. So if you were coming for the same thing and it was at the same level, like let's say something to do with your father and you were 8 out of 10 in terms of anger towards him, if 2 months down the track it's still an 8 out of 10 and you're repeating the same thing, that would be odd and wouldn't be something we anticipate. But maybe you're coming further down the line about your father because you're getting married, you don't have anyone to walk you down the aisle. So maybe it's a different layer and a different perception around the same thing. But until we're dead, we don't really have nothing to work on.
No.
We're constantly evolving.
I said that this week in therapy or last week. I was like, so it never ends.
No.
Oh, God, I'll be here for ages.
Who knows? Who knows?
There's other dimensions. So, you're also existing in other dimensions. So
who knows what's going on out there?
Who knows?
It's crazy.
You're somewhere else at the same time.
So does all your stuff, you know.
But what's interesting, this wouldn't work on someone who's dead, for example. Why? Because we're working with life force.
Energy.
The same thing that beats your heart, the same thing that digests your food, the same thing that not only physically, but the same thing that tells you in your heart whether something's in alignment with you or not. That when we pass away, that life force isn't there. So we don't have breath. We don't have anything to work with. So we're actually it's kind of cool that we can access that in this meat body, because we probably can't do that once we're a soul, I'd imagine, a pure soul floating up there.
Yeah.
Can you Should you come to a session with an idea of what you want to work on, or should you come empty like Maha was?
I thought I knew, but I didn't
People
know.
do, but that's not going to change how I work. So it's more there as a sounding board for me, and to hear have people feel heard and listened to, but actually listened to.
Yeah.
But that won't change the way that I work. So let's say you've come for a breakup. That doesn't mean I'm going to go straight to your heart center. I let the body tell me. Because what if your heart's in too much of a protective strategy to let go of that? And that's necessary right now. It's not optimal for me to go in and just open that up and fast track a process that the body's not ready to do yet. I'm reinforcing a protective strategy. And then I'm trying to fight against the innate. So what I do is I look for areas where there's openness and richness and work with that. And then that will start going to the poorer, for lack of a better word, energy areas. And then maybe that area might open up once it's connected to safety again. So again, I'm not trying to fix something. I don't necessarily believe something's blocked and that's bad. What I do believe is maybe there's a safety strategy there that's no longer serving you. And that's based on your body trying to keep you safe, based on the past, and trying to predict the future.
Do you
and
work
that's
on
essentially
kids?
what it is. I do work on kids, as you know, but in terms of spinal energetics practitioners, we don't allow them to work on children until they're over 12. The main reason being, well, it's usually the parents. So we work on the parents usually.
It's so true.
Yeah. Well, they're co-regulating.
That's so true.
You know, so
That's
when
true.
they're really little, it's usually the parents' environment that they're reflecting. So that's where I would look more so. But for me, I don't feel comfortable with the level of training that we have for them to work on kids for me, and also elderly. So there's some contraindications to the work for our practitioners too, which is important because we want people receiving this work who are going to get, you know, benefits from it. If you're in a severe psychosis or, you know, it's probably not the time to delve into this part of your body. Do something else first, you know, that's a little bit more stable, not working off the body.
Yeah, true.
And do you find that there's sort of common themes that people will, you know, either share with you or like that you feel that their body is kind of expressing? Is it like a sense of, for example, you know, disconnection from self or, you know, like what do you kind of sort of see most often?
It can really be anything, but most of the time what I see is when they're going against their own path, so to speak. So, you know, are they having trouble in their career because they took this job because they believe that you work for money because that's what they were taught and that's all you have? Like it's usually a perception-based and a belief-based thing, a values-based thing. I was reading a post on Instagram today. Can't remember who had posted it, but they drew in this study, they drew scars on people and pretended they had a job interview. But what they did is actually wipe the scar off without telling the person. And they reported back saying that the people treated them differently and looked at them funny and kept looking at the scar, but actually in reality it wasn't there.
One.
Yeah. So again, we're walking around with these scars essentially all over ourselves, maybe thinking they're visual, but really it's a perception.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
and you'll find it.
self-belief, right? It's self-perception.
Yeah,
yes.
it is. So really what we're trying to do is get people feeling connected to who they really are and something bigger than they are. Because if it's just self, we usually get sad pretty quickly. You don't have to believe in a God, but you have to believe in something bigger than yourself or a higher purpose or something. You know, I was a strong atheist as a child, but as I'm getting older, you know, whatever you believe in, for me, there's a sense of consciousness or universal intelligence that's created this body. You know, in a university, we had cadavers where we would, you know, which sounds like a lot, but really it was amazing. And you just look inside, there's no way that something's done there purposeless. Like everything's everything's
it's mind-blowing how the human body works.
Yeah.
We talk about this all the time in wellness, right? So sometimes because people really want a very simplistic answer, like, so say, for example, we're like, you know, protein is for, and or like say like we have a NAD booster, right? So it's really hard to explain 400 different functions and the flow on, right? Like it's like if I draw you a diagram, it's too hard. So it's like, so therefore you're left with these very simplistic I guess explanations like it's for energy, it's for metabolism, it's for cell health.
Doesn't
really
give enough
simplistic. It doesn't give.
Yeah.
But if you started to understand the split-second timing on everything in the body, to your point, it would blow your mind.
The design,
The
design, and the purpose, and how perfectly it all has been made.
Everything.
Is mind-boggling.
It's like when they used to, take appendix out and they'd be like, oh, we don't think it does anything.
Yeah.
There would be nothing.
And tonsils.
Yeah.
And tonsils. All kids in the 80s who are like, get rid of the appendix.
It doesn't do anything.
They go, oh, it hurts. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're starting to learn more and more that there's nothing in there for no reason. They're starting to realize, I think it's to do with gut health, specifically the appendix from memory. I could be wrong. But so there's nothing in that intelligence that's purposeless. And that includes your nervous system response.
Yeah.
And I think I heard this thing the other day. It was Zach Bush, who Sally hears me talk about him all the time. I love
Who is
him.
it?
His name's Zach Bush.
Oh, Zach Bush. Yes.
Zach
Incredible.
Bush. And he talks about how you were born from mother, but not of mother, right? So you were made in there, but not from her, but you were born of her. And when you die, there's this period in the middle, and it's really your opportunity to figure out your purpose and why you're here, and to connect with nature and to understand what's actually important, and not to get, caught up in the in the things and in the everyday, and to try to embrace, the lessons and the relationships and the community and it was such a beautiful, I think, way of looking at what happens in between the two, and how we can get so caught up, as you say, in what other people think of us, or the grievances that happen to us on a daily basis. But, when we stop to actually and maybe explore some of the those experiences, or try to move through them, then we're kind of one step closer to connecting back to why we're actually here. Do you know what I mean? So
there's a big peace in that feeling, though. So that's, I think, after a session, everyone feels a sense of peace, and it's a remembering, because you forget, because the world's designed to make you forget, because nothing would sell if you remembered.
Too many distractions.
Keep you busy.
Just nothing would work in this realm,
Can you feel, I don't know if this is a strange question, sorry to ask it, but I was just thinking, does the person need to be lying down and to actually be in a session for you to feel there's something, right,
No.
right, so you can feel it kind of all the time, so to
If I
speak.
choose to,
Yeah.
I think
If you choose
I
to,
think
yes.
all of us can. So
Do you think so?
I don't think it's like a gift or anything. That would be cool. But no, I don't think. I think it's innate. I think it's just
Pushed down.
Pushed down,
Tapping
like most
into it.
creative things, or most things that aren't validated through achievement or success. It's not validated in our society. So it's a muscle. It atrophies after a while because we haven't used it. So I think it becomes harder as you get older. Like when you were younger, you didn't have to try and imagine things. It just happened. It just occurred. And then there's just one day where you'd never use your imagination again, essentially. Or there's one day where you never play again with your friends like that. So it all comes again down to social conditioning and the way that we're like, no, it's time to start going into adulthood now and doing the things that you need to do. And the people that are telling us this are usually pretty unhappy deep down, because you need meaning and you need purpose and you need genuine connections to be happy. And I'd say that's why most of us are unhappy. And I wouldn't say I'm happy all the time. That's not the goal. It's probably impossible. But I do think I have an idea of how to lean into what truly makes me happy, whereas I don't think many people would even know where to start.
Yeah. How do you protect yourself? Like you're doing all these sessions, all these people, you've got all their energy and it's coming at you. And to your point afterwards, everyone's like, oh, speak to me about me, And like you said, you can feel people's energy all the time anyway, should you choose to. So then how do you look after you?
I'm learning that. I don't particularly protect my energy in one way. It's for me, it's something I feel like I've always done, but in a different way. So I used to try and read the room so I knew how to behave to be liked or loved or how to not get in trouble. It's that same muscle. It's that same thing. This time I'm just like, okay, what's in there? What's there? So it's parts of you that are parts of me. Like the worst part of you exists in me and the best part of you exists in me. So there's nothing to protect myself from.
Right.
The only thing that can get tiring is, I think, the focus it takes.
Yeah.
So it's almost like meditating, strongly meditating and focusing until you get into, like, it's a flow state as well, but it's still a focus. So that it's more physically tiring for me than it is emotionally.
Right.
I always feel very honor's not the right word. It sounds a bit wanky, but I do feel very. I'm glad I'm a person.
Yeah,
that
I think
can do
honored.
that
I understand
with
what you mean by honored.
Yeah, like I feel I never go, oh, bloody Sally, or like whatever. Like
How could you say that?
Yeah.
Like Maha, I get, but not me.
Well,
I do
even
too.
in that experience,
okay.
you can feel the realness in it, the rawness in it, and it would be very odd to then feel that and connect to it and be like, what am I having for dinner? Like it's very hard. So it keeps things in perspective for me too, because when I'm working in that field, you can't forget who you are and I can't forget who I am either. But it's also sometimes why I don't want to work. So I don't feel like looking at that stuff right now. I don't want to change anything.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's not just a session for you. It's essentially a reflection for me too.
Wow.
So yeah, sometimes that's a good thing.
That's
Other
the
times I like not
revelation.
seeing anyone for a while.
I'm not ready. I can't.
Yeah, but it takes energy to change.
Yeah.
It takes energy to see things.
Yeah.
But also takes energy to not see things. But, there'll be moments and moments in time, kind of like a performer in a weird way, like where, I'm sure Mariah Carey just doesn't want to sing sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that thing
Yeah.
you said about the dinner. I've heard John Bon Jovi, who I love, say that he's like, you can be on stage, there's a huge arena and you're singing a song that you've sung obviously 100 times before, and then you could be thinking, I wonder if I should get the cheeseburger after that, because it's almost
Automatic.
It's automatic,
Yeah.
right? So he's like, and I would have to remind myself, fuck, occasionally these people have paid all this money. This is a
It's their
special
first
night.
time.
Let me
Yeah.
step back into being present.
I have to do that more with my teaching, not so much in sessions. Teaching's a little bit different because you're saying I say it in a different way, but essentially I'm repeating a structure. So yeah, that's sometimes a bit challenging to stay purely present, but I do my best. I think I do a pretty good job. But when you're working with people in that field, I feel like almost being who I needed at some point in time. And I feel lucky that I can be that for some people because, people need it.
Yeah.
We were talking about mothering
Yes.
off before. And not that I treat people like they're powerful. I don't treat people like they're victims of life because they're not. And if I treat them like they're a victim, it's going to reinforce the bad, and the beliefs around that. I want to bring people into an area where, yes, that happened, but I am who I am because, not just because of that, but thanks to that.
Yes.
And not in this, I'm so, I'll never be grateful my mum's brain damage. That won't ever happen. And I'm okay with saying that. People might say that my grief isn't processed or whatever. I don't really care. I have to see her like that every week still, 7 years later. I'm never going to be like, I'm so grateful. That's not going to happen.
It's shit.
No.
It's shit.
And,
Yes.
and that's fine. That's your experience.
It's
and
shit.
Yeah.
it can be.
That's
You
right.
can
That's
say
right.
it. Yeah.
But on that note, I understand the way I've changed as a person from seeing someone I love go through suffering and pain.
Yeah.
And I think it's magnified the things that are of priority and that matter. And so that I can be grateful for. But I'll never be grateful seeing her like that.
No.
And if I could change it, I would.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I understand it's not up to me. I understand that there's something, I don't know why that happened.
You've got an acceptance.
Yeah, you have to. And sometimes I honestly think it was more was more a lesson for me in life than a lesson for my mum, which is, you know, I read a bit about, you know, Steiner and his belief systems around, you know, children or adults that become disabled or are disabled. And he really believes you've been chosen as a gift to have to really experience people's love, because you can only survive based on their giving. Because if she lived on her own, she would never survive. So she's almost back into that childlike state where you have to be loved or cared for to be able to live. And my mum was a very controlled woman. So the fact that she's had to relinquish all of that control to be in that state where she's of full acceptance and leaning on people is sad to see, but also beautiful to see. But I tell you what, it's scary as hell when I go there and, you know, see people with dementia. It's very scary. And that's why health is such a value of mine. But also she had a lot of trauma in her family. No one ever spoke about it. No one ever did anything about it. And a lot of nervous system diseases and brain diseases and spine diseases.
Keeps score, right?
Really
I
does.
do believe that.
Yeah.
You know, that book is very hard to understand.
It's very hard to understand.
That's what Bess is
what-
saying. Very dry read. But he's, you know, someone from the Western realm who was looked as, you know, admirable to write about the fact that he's seeing changes in people's physicality, and it doesn't go nowhere. It stores, and that's why it's also important for us to just. It's almost like putting the backpack down, you know. We're constantly put another rock in, put another rock in, put another rock in, and without realizing you can place it, but then let it go. It doesn't mean the learning went. And it's almost like when you're doing a spring clean.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, God, but what if I wear this one day? Or what if I, you know, the memory, or like I kept my 21st dress for ages. Really weird, because I wore that when I was 21.
It's only a couple
You know,
of years ago.
It's only last week. It was, that's why. So it's not been that long. But, you know, it was I had a great night. I was happy then. So it's almost nostalgia is attached to this physical thing. And I think our body does the same thing. It's got nostalgia, and beautiful nostalgia, but also things to, like, I don't know if you ever had your boyfriend's T-shirt and then he broke up with you a week later. What do you want to do? You don't want to wear the T-shirt.
Burn that.
you
No,
wanna
you want to
burn
burn
it.
that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because it's got an attachment to it.
Yeah.
And our body has that through experiences too. There's attachments. That's part of the ego, you know, that's part of what we're supposed to do here. Unfortunately, we got given one.
But I think, you know, you can lean into those in different ways, as you say, and you can either go, okay, right, this is the rock that I've got. You know, now what do I do with it? Maybe I'll put it in the river and, you know, and let it go. And that's having the choice is so powerful.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode, then make sure you subscribe, like, download, share, all the things.
All of the things. And of course, everything you need to know is in the show notes. If you need any more information, don't hesitate to find us at SWIISH.com. And as always, all the information provided is general information and not medical advice.